Welcome to our latest agent tier list for patch 9.04, and boy do we have some exciting changes to discuss. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, VYSE, our newest Sentinel who has finally hit the servers and has been shaking up the meta in ways that we've never expected. Her unique kit is turning heads and causing chaos on the battlefield. We'll dive deep into how she's performing and where she stands among other agents. But VYSE isn't the only thing stirring the pot. With VCT just wrapping up, we are seeing some interesting shifts in agent preferences at the highest level of play. These pro strats are trickling down into ranked, and we are here to break it down all for you. And if that wasn't enough, we got some map rotation changes on the horizon, so they are sure to mix up even more. That's right, Pearl and Split are making their grand return into the map pool soon. We'll touch on how these maps might influence your agent picks in the coming weeks. Let's start out with our Duelists though. In ranked, Reyna, Phoenix, and ISO are still fine picks. They're those classic ranked demons who can rack up kills and play for themselves. However, they don't really provide much to the team and realistically don't do that much different from each other anyway. You can play any one of them interchangeably without changing much of the team dynamic. Realistically, we'd probably put these three around B tier. The duelists that really bring new things to the team are going to be Neon, Raze, and Jett. Neon has seen a massive rise in the meta since her slide changes. Of course, she can now slide now and be fully accurate at the same time, which puts her way ahead in the running. Plus, she gets 2 of these slides now, which is absolutely crazy. This has been kind of terrorizing the meta for a while now. In many ways, it almost edges Jett out of the meta a bit. Raze is still a very solid pick, but you're starting to see a lot more Neon than Jett in many situations. That's not to say Jett is bad, she's still an excellent op user and her entries are still really strong. But Neon is definitely creeping up and taking that slot of top duelist a little bit more. Yoru is worth mentioning as a niche pick. He's pretty good on Haven, Abyss, and Bind. He's just a little bit harder to play with because his teleports take longer to get to their location. This means that you can't really dash straight forward in like a Jett can. You need to have a little bit of a setup. Because of this, your teammates need to be aware that they have to wait for your teleport to get out. And surprisingly, something that many players struggle with on Yoru is actually using his ultimate effectively. It's really funny because it's just an indestructible drone that can flash, but most people don't really use his flashes at all during the ult. They kind of just run it down and don't say anything. In a ranked setting, if you're playing Yoru and you're vocal and you're able to use that ultimate to flash people off of angles and land kills for your team working together, then he can be very effective. In fact, Yoru is one of the best operas in the game after the chamber nerfs. He has the ability to pick up really aggressive op angles and then TP out across the map and completely reposition. This makes it really difficult to deal with him and know where he's at. He can essentially be in 2 places at once, which can really be a nightmare, especially on maps like Abyss and Haven where they have these really nasty long op angles. Yoru can be really strong in the right hands, however, in most hands he's not going to be too crazy. If we had to rank them, we would put Neon and Raze in S tier, Jett slightly lower, and then Yoru in A tier, followed by Reyna, Phoenix, and ISO around the B tier. To be entirely honest though, duelists are some of the most well-suited agents to hard carry in ranked regardless of who you're playing. The caveat here is as long as you have exceptional aim. The cool thing is though that anybody can get good aim in Valorant. All it takes is a little bit of practice and the right guidance. Back like 10 years ago, most people believed that good aim was just a genetic thing, but that's been debunked since, and now even if players start out as a complete bot, they can absolutely learn to pop off. That's where we come in. Our Aim God Masterclass is designed to take you from 0 to hero in just a few weeks or your money back. That's right, we're so confident that we can get you aiming like a pro, we literally guarantee that you'll rank up using our service. What's more is that we've even gone the extra mile to offer direct access to our coaches and SkillCapped's Discord so that you can get personalized feedback and even VOD reviews to help you improve. This is literally insane how much value we offer at such a low price, so if you're looking to rank up today, check out SkillCapped using the link below. And other than that, let's talk about the elephant in the room. VYSE is the brand new agent. She's been making quite a splash and is arguably one of the most overpowered agents right now in the right hands. One of the strongest parts of VYSE's kit is her flash, as well as her thorns, which are very powerful. And of course her wall, which is incredibly strong. VYSE's wall is very difficult to bait out, and because you can't even destroy it, it makes it really hard to play around. Her mollies are also massive and last a very long amount of time. And they also do a lot of damage if you walk through them. Not to mention her flash refreshes and provides info, which is pretty crazy. And we haven't even talked about her ultimate yet, which basically can make it so your buy round is going to be absolutely ruined. VYSE's kit is very strong, and we don't think you should sleep on her. We're not ready to put her in S tier because we do have to wait to see how people react as time goes on. Potentially players find it a lot easier to bait out her wall, or they start to shoot her mollies more often, or even they turn her flash really easily. But for right now, we would say that VYSE is in a really strong spot and definitely worth playing, putting her in the A tier. That being said, it's really hard for VYSE to lock down parts of the map the same way that Cypher does. Cypher is still taking the cake as our S tier Sentinel. He's just insane with unbreakable trips, stall presence, and his camera that provides amazing info. He has 1x cages, you can use them as normal smokes as well. He can lurk, he can basically do everything. Cypher is really crazy, like a jack of all trades, and you definitely should not be sleeping on this agent. Along with him, Killjoy is also very good. She's sitting right next to VYSE in the A tier. She's not a bad pick at all, especially if you're playing her on a map that she excels on. Stuff like Haven, Ascent, and Pearl when it gets back into the rotation again. Beyond them, Deadlock is also worth mentioning. She's in a pretty decent place right now, especially if you're a really good player. You're seeing Deadlock in pro teams, and a lot of players are actually playing her in Radiant right now as well. Her kit is actually a lot better than players realize. Her grab net is awesome when comboed with other utility and when used on execute. Her wall is excellent if you're using it to stall pushes at the right time, and her ultimate can basically pull somebody right out of the fight. However, if you're not utilizing her kit very effectively, then she's probably not going to be in the S tier or even the A tier. If you're missing the ultimate all the time, mistiming your walls, and not really using your grab net all that well, then of course she's not going to be a very good agent, and you're going to miss out on a lot of that global presence that you could be having with Cypher or even VYSE using her wall to cut off choke points. We'd probably place Deadlock down in the C tier right now, below Chamber and Sage. Moving on to potentially the most balanced role is going to be our Initiator. You can play anyone as an Initiator, and they're all really strong. That said, there are some Initiators that are going to be favored just a little bit more in ranked. For example, a lot of the times these info Initiators are going to be the ones that take the cake. Sova is going to be seen on top along with Fade and Skye. All three of these are really awesome. They provide great information, and Skye can even use her flash to kind of take space. Gekko is also really great. However, he's a lot better in a double Initiator comp, which you won't really see in ranked since most people are going to be locking Duelist anyway. It is harder for Gekko to gather information since all of his utility is very easily destructible. Because of this, it's just harder for Gekko to consistently take space in a lot of the areas of the map since his wingman does require a lot of lineups, and his Dizzy is incredibly easy to destroy on its own. He's not a bad pick, so we don't want to discourage you from him too much. However, we would recommend that you steer away from flash initiators such as Breach and Kayo in rank, mostly just because they require a lot of teamwork and synergy. As perfect as a flash may be, you can't really get your teammates to capitalize on them all that much in ranked, which makes their utility lose a lot of value. If we were to place them all in an order, we would probably say that Sova is S tier along with Fade and Skye in A tier. Gekko would be right below them in A tier as well, and then Breach and Kayo would probably be in B tier for ranked play. Moving on to our controllers, we've got to put Omen in the S tier. He is just crazy flexible. You can play aggressive, you can play passive, you can stall. His blind does wonders, his ultimate is incredibly underrated, and his smokes refresh throughout the round and they're global. So you know you'll never really be in a point in the map where you're not going to be very valuable. Omen is really incredible. However, they are seeing more commonly that ranked players are running Clove. We're actually going to go out there and say that we feel that Clove is pretty overrated. Being able to smoke after death is pretty cool, but if you're not really impactful with your smokes to begin with, then this isn't going to be too great. Along with that, you lose out on a lot of the entry potential that you have with Omen. Although Clove can use her Resurrect if her ultimate is available, she entries the same way as any other agent. She might as well be a Reyna or a Phoenix just walking out of a smoke, whereas Omen can use his blind and TP into cover and provide his team with that extra bit of dive that they might need. Not to mention that Clove's range with her smokes is locked, so that she pretty much always has to be with her team. Aside from these two, it's kind of hard to get value out of any of the other controllers in ranked. Brimstone is okay, although he only has 3 smokes that don't really refresh, so he's not the ideal pick. Astra also is difficult to play in ranked, although she has been seeing a little bit of pro play right now on maps like Abyss, and when Pearl comes back into the rotation, Astra will be pretty decent. But she's a lot harder to play, and she's going to take a little bit more synergy. When it comes to our line smokers like Harbor and Viper, they just don't really have a place in the meta right now. Viper is played on Icebox right now, but when Icebox leaves the rotation, you probably won't see her as much. You could play her on Pearl potentially, but she's a little bit clunkier on Pearl. Harbor is decent, but he's a bit more difficult to play, although he does combo pretty well with Gekko. But because you don't see too much synergy in ranked, this isn't really going to be the guy that you're picking. So to sum it up, we put Omen in S tier, Clove will be right below him in B tier, along with Astra and Brimstone, and then Viper and Harbor will probably go in C tier. Viper in a double controller comp likely does jump up a lot higher, maybe even to S tier, but as a solo controller, Viper currently leaves a lot to be desired. Alright though guys, before we wrap this up, let me tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5 division rank up guarantee, and we think that is a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like your local gym membership promising that you'll get ripped. Your gym would go bust if they offered you that. Not us though, we've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well in fact that we're able to offer by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. With over 500 guides sorted into 50 courses, no one else can compare. We also offer direct access to our coaches in the Discord so you can get personalized feedback just for you. Sign up today using the discount link in the description below, and other than that, we want to thank you all for watching. My name's King, and we will see you in the next one.